Let me start sharing my screen. Okay. So good morning, everyone, and warm welcome to session 3 of our course today. A very happy Diwali to everybody who's celebrating. And so the last 2 sessions, we started talking about understanding our emotional landscape. And then in the last class, we looked a little bit deeper into where all these emotions come from, how they might be impacting our life. We also looked at, how we can perceive and learn to look at things differently by expanding our perception, by reframing, and, just thinking about other options that are available to us. So today we are going to continue our conversation. I'm just going to very quickly put up, a quick recap for the last session. So we talked about how emotions are lights on the dashboard, and needs are really what's going on under the hood. Yeah. We also looked at how judgments are our personal perspectives of what is right and wrong, and we'll be going more into what our beliefs are today. And this right and wrong comes based on our own life experience, our beliefs, our values. We also talked about it's not actually what's happening, but how we are interpreting, and changing that interpretation can really change our experience. When our needs are met, we experience positive emotions. When our needs are not met, we experience negative emotions. We looked at, various kinds of needs and how those needs, how we can find ways to meet those needs, and necessarily not having to depend on external factors. And again, I'll be talking more about that. And also, as adults, sometimes we feel that it's not okay to have certain needs. Yeah. Uh, and then that also, creates sort of sometimes embarrassment or even shame or guilt that why am I needing this? I'm an adult, right? But understanding that as human beings, we all will have various kinds of needs. You guys might have heard about the Maslow's needs hierarchy. Are you familiar with it? Where he talks about, we have physical needs like food, rest. He talks about, we have self-esteem needs, we have, self-actualization needs, and, he talks about it being a pyramid. There are, of course, debates around it, but the idea is that we all have various kinds of needs. Yeah, physical needs probably are easier because, we are more comfortable, telling somebody, look, I'm hungry and I want food. But we may not be comfortable telling somebody, look, I'm needing some love and affection, or not always. Yeah, in certain settings, maybe we are. But those needs, when they're not met, are creating a lot of, negative emotions, and then putting us into cycles of stress and anxiety and even grief. All of that we're going to talk about today. Okay, any thoughts or comments or questions on this before I move forward?
No, you can.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so today our topic is deconstructing stress and how to go from overwhelm to ease. But I'm just going to continue a little bit from what we were talking about last week because we didn't get to complete everything. So we were talking about, whether emotions are good or bad, and also do we judge our own feelings and also the feelings of other people. Yeah. Like sometimes we feel, oh my God, this person is, why are they getting so angry? Or what is the reason to be so sad about something so small? Right? Or we judge our own feelings by saying, oh my God, like, I'm not an anxious person, so this anxiety is not a good thing. Yeah. So we all tend to do that. And that also comes, a lot of it comes from messages that we receive directly or indirectly about emotions. Yeah, like, I mean, general examples about, oh, men don't cry, women are always emotional. We've all kind of grown up with these cultural, social messaging. And those messages could have varied, or, through media, also a lot of these kind of messages that we have received. We're also going to talk about what are our beliefs about stress and about life in general. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm putting a link in the chat so that you can uh, get access to this. Okay, it's not letting me copy this. Just give me a moment. Let me just stop sharing for a moment. So it's like a little questionnaire which I'm going to put up on the screen as well, but I thought if you guys have access to it, it'll just make it easier. Um, okay, sorry. Just get organized here. Um, so here is the link. And like I said, I'll put this up on the screen also so that we can follow along. Uh, so let me know if you have any difficulty accessing it. I will also be sharing it, in the LMS later on, and you can download it and continue to work on it. Right. So as you can see here, there are a bunch of statements, and what I'm asking you to do is that read all of the statements and mark using a scale of 1 to 10, 1 meaning you completely disagree with it, 10 meaning you completely agree with it. And if some of those statements don't make any sense to you or you can't connect to them at all, just let them go. But the invitation is to, as you read the statements, don't just think about it intellectually, right? Like, uh, you know, you may think, you may rationalize in your head saying, okay, I don't do this. Yeah. But just check more with, when you read it, how do you feel about it? Right? Like good people don't get angry. Now you may think that logically, of course, this is false. Yeah. But if you meet a person who's angry a lot, you may kind of have a negative image of that person, thinking, oh, this is not a very good person. Is this making sense what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yes.
are you able to access the link on the drive?
Sorry, I didn't get it. Yeah, I can see the link. I can
Yeah.
see the page as well.
Yeah. Okay. So I just thought, in case it's hard to follow on here on the screen, because there are about 35 of these statements. So I'll give you maybe 5 to 7 minutes, just go through these statements and mark the ones that are really standing out for you. Yeah. And also the ones that you feel have a strong rating, like a very low rating or a very high rating. Okay. So how about I give you 5 to 7 minutes here?
Yeah, works.
Okay.
Just want to know, is it the rating is supposed to be based on myself, or is it like a general
No, based
way
on,
to?
no, thanks for that question, Piyush. It's entirely based on you. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. I'm not able to access that file from Drive. Uh, you're
So
mute.
let me
I
just
can't.
scroll it up here. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Hi, morning, Amar.
Good morning, Divya.
So we are just, I'm just putting this link again in the chat so that you can access it. So just open this file, and it's also here on the screen. And the instructions are there as well, Amar. So this is kind of what we are working on right now. Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you able to access the file? Because Piyush said he was having difficulty.
uh, I can see it on the screen. So, is it necessary to download it?
No, no, just that it's a longish file, so I have to scroll it on the screen. So let me
Okay.
quickly put it up here at the start for you. So
Okay.
basically, there are
Mm.
a bunch of statements. You have to read each statement and rate it on a scale
Uh,
of 1 to 10. Yeah, so I'll
okay.
just leave it here for you for a minute, and then I'll scroll it for Piyush.
Yeah, ma'am.
Piyush, I have put the file here if you want to, so that because I know you've been working on this. So if you want, you can open the file and maybe that'll be easier for you.
Yeah.
Amber, do you want me to scroll this on the screen?
Yes, ma'am. You can scroll now. Yeah.
Okay, so you can look at the next. There are a whole bunch of statements. If some of the statements are not making any sense, you can ignore them. So I'm just going to scroll it further, and you guys can continue to work on it later as well. Right. So I'm just curious through whatever you have worked through till now, what what if anything is standing out for you? Like any of these statements that you feel are really sort of, resonating with you. You can tell me the number or the
30.
30. Life is a struggle. Okay. Yeah. Amar, anything standing out for you so far? I know you started a bit later.
Uh, no, I mean, I have different rating for different points, but nothing as such is standing out or something.
Okay. So when you say nothing is standing out, like all of these are kind of making sense or nothing is making sense?
Yeah, no, yeah. For everything I can relate to, yeah.
You can
Like,
relate.
yeah.
Okay, great. So let me now just start sharing the PPT again, and then we will discuss more on this. Yeah. So now, any of these statements, if you look at them, these statements are not facts, right? These are our ideas about life, about, you know, uh, emotions, and all of that, right? Would you agree to that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are, like I said, these are not. Uh, where am I? Yeah. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see the screen. Okay. Right. So I want to talk a little bit about what beliefs are. Okay. Anybody has any thoughts on what beliefs are? What is a belief? Okay. So yeah, go ahead. Okay. So like I said, beliefs are not facts. Yeah. Beliefs are ideas that we believe are true. Yeah. So say just as an example, Piyush said that, he could relate to the statement, life is a struggle. Now, for all of us, there have been times where life felt like it was a struggle. There were also times when it didn't feel like it was a struggle. Yeah, so it's not really a hard fact, but it is something, it's an idea that we believe is true. Now, that belief could have come because our own experience was with life was such, or because many of us grew up where our parents were constantly saying, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, life is a struggle, you know, कि कुछ भी आसानी से नहीं मिलता है जिंदगी में. To get something, you have to lose something. We all grew up with these kind of statements. I mean, I'm just giving a few examples. Now, those statements, as I'm saying, are not false, but they're also not entirely true. Yeah. Piyush, you wanted to say something?
No, no. Yeah.
Okay. Right. So basically, beliefs are ideas that we believe are true. There is no real evidence to support them. Yeah. So there is no hard evidence that, okay, because of this, as I said, it could be some experience, some story, something that people told us, something that is socially also, messages that we all received, right? And cultural messages that also we all received. Like if you go to different countries or different states within our own country also, people will have slightly different ideas about, what is good, what is bad, what is acceptable or non-acceptable, right? So a lot of it also comes through culture. Now, all of us see the world through the colored lens of our own beliefs, right? Now, the thing is that beliefs can be changed because they are not hard facts, right? They can be changed. Yeah. Now, if you look at it, now this is from Daniel Kahneman. Maybe you guys have heard about him. He's a Nobel laureate. He wrote this very famous book, Thinking Fast and Slow, which covers a lot of aspects of a lot of things about life and this world. And he says that for some of our most important beliefs, we have no evidence at all, except that people we love and trust hold those beliefs. Now, considering how little we know, the confidence we have on our beliefs is preposterous, and it is also essential. Yeah, so if you really look at it, guys, we are meaning-making machines. Nothing has meaning as such in this world. We are assigning meaning to everything. Today this happened, the sun is very bright, it's a good day. Now that is a meaning we are assigning to it. right? The sun is shining every day. Yeah. In some countries, like if you look at it, even, geographically, in India, when the sun is very harsh, we don't want it. But if you go to cold countries, they are dying for the sun to come out, right? So there is really no absolute meaning to anything if you really look at it. We are making meaning out of things. Do you guys agree with this, disagree with this?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah. So, and where is that meaning coming from? That meaning is again coming from the beliefs we have about things. And where are those beliefs coming from? Those beliefs are coming either from our own direct experience or they are coming from other sources. A lot of them come from family, school, culture, religion, of course, country, nationality, you know, media is also giving us a lot of beliefs. Today there is so much of, oh, this is killing you, that is killing you, we are all listening to it every day, and then slowly we start to believe, oh, the food we are eating is really poisonous. Now the food we are eating is both nutrition and poisonous, right? It's what we want to believe in or what we choose to believe in. But what happens is that some beliefs become so strongly rooted in us that we are not able to look past it. Yeah. Now, say if I have a belief that this world is not a safe place, it's going to impact my behavior. Everywhere I go, I'm constantly worrying about, okay, will somebody mug me? Will somebody hurt me? Will people steal me from me, rob? So I will constantly be in a lot of fear. Yeah. If I feel that the world is a safe place, I'll probably be more relaxed. Now, both of these are not true if you really look at it. Yeah. The world is both safe and unsafe. Depends on where you are, depends on what your idea of safety and lack of safety is. Correct? But based on what I believe, the things that I do are going to get impacted by it. Again, is this making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So the invitation today is to examine some of those beliefs, because some of those beliefs may be helping me. Some beliefs may be actually what we call limiting my experience of life. Yeah. So say if I again come back to, because Piyush took that example, and a lot of people would say things like that life is a struggle. Yeah. Now that each of us may also interpret the meaning of that to be differently. Some of us may feel, okay, life is a struggle. That's just how it is. So we need to constantly work hard because there's not going to be any easy way in life. For some of us, it might be, oh my God, no matter what I do, life is going to be a struggle. I'm never going to be happy or successful. Yeah. So again, we can interpret these statements differently, but what if I thought differently and I thought, okay, like we were talking last time, that life is on my side. It is at times difficult and at times fun and easy. Do you think that's going to change the way you look at yourself and life? Again, I'm just using this as an example. Would that change the way you look at yourself, the kind of things that you do? Yes, go ahead, guys.
I feel, yeah, when you say this, it sounds a little more better, and it can make you do things a little better.
Okay.
Like this gives you a little bit of positive note to for maybe the approach you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Piyush. I don't think this was on the list. I have a very long list of these. I mean, I just pick up a few, and maybe as you are reading these, maybe new ideas are coming to your mind. One thing a lot of people tell me is when I'm very happy, I start to wonder what will go wrong. Yeah, when I'm too happy, I feel something will happen, something will jinx it. Yeah, maybe many of us, when we were growing up, parents would say, "Oh, don't be too happy, don't share all this with everybody. People will, नजर लगा देंगे लोग." है ना? ऐसा सुनते थे ना हम लोग. या
अभी भी सुनता
हाँ, अभी अभी भी होता है ना कि हाँ, अरे नहीं, ज्यादा नहीं करो, ज्यादा, अरे इतना, मतलब कुछ बुरा हो जाएगा, किसी की नजर लग जाएगी, राइट? हमें खुद को भी लगता है ना, ओ माय गॉड, थिंग्स वर गोइंग सो वेल फॉर मी, दिस हैड टू हैपन. या हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू फील everything is going very, very well, then something bad happens, then you tell yourself, see, I knew this was going to happen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So this is what I mean by beliefs. Now, if you really look at life, good things and bad things are happening to everybody. The severity or, the frequency of that may be changing. And also our interpretation of what is good and what is bad is also different. And we will start the total well-being program maybe from tomorrow or day after. We'll all start it together. But I'll share a short story which will also help you, understand this a little bit. So there was once this Chinese farmer, and he lived in a small village. So one day a friend came and told him, "Oh, I've not met you in a long time. How have you been?" So he says, "Oh, you know what? Life is life. Uh, what happened is that my son fell, and no, he said, my few days ago, my horse ran away." So the friend says, "Oh, that is really bad. That's terrible that your horse ran away." He said, "No, actually, it wasn't all bad because he came back 2 days later and he brought two wild horses with him." So the neighbor says, "Oh, wow, you are so lucky. You got, instead of one, like three horses." So the farmer says, "You know what? It actually wasn't all good." He said, "Now, what do you mean?" He says, "Actually, my son tried to ride one of those wild horses and he fell and he broke his leg." Now the neighbor goes, "Oh my God, that's like really unfortunate." So the farmer goes, "You know what? Actually, it wasn't bad." He said, "What do you mean? Your son fell and broke his leg and you're telling me it's not bad?" He said, "What happened is that the king's army, they were recruiting young men for the army. But because my son was hurt, they didn't recruit him. So he didn't have to go to the war." So the neighbor thinks, "Oh, wow, you are so lucky." So see, the story can go on and on and on, right? Yeah. There are two, three things. What do you notice with this story, by the way, guys?
Mm, like there were a lot of, like, it can go to the negative part, and as soon as uh, um, it was ending on a negative note, something positive was coming out. Like,
Okay. Okay, great. Anything from you, Amar? What did you notice in the story?
Uh, I think I noticed that we behave in the way how that person was, the person who was listening, right? He says, "Wow, it's so good." Then we say, "Oh, it's unfortunate." We feel like I feel like most of us behave that way to a situation, but fail to see like the positive and negative side of it. So the other person who is telling the story is like a life. It brings you both positive side and negative side, and then we start feeling okay. Oh, now this turned out to be good, and then after some time, people, oh, this turns out to be bad for me. So this on and off process keeps on going in our life, and I think yeah. So instead of reacting so intuitively, if we can try to have a balanced view and see what positive things this can bring to me, I think we will be well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, thank you both for sharing. Yeah, so what the story tells us is that, first of all, like every situation, even today, like see, for in your life, sometimes today, maybe say you're going through a bad phase. Now you may be thinking, "Oh my God, I'm going through a difficult phase." But 5 years from now, when you look back, you may have a very different, uh, view of the whole situation. Yeah, like I was sharing that my own story about this person, this organization that I was a part of. At that time, when this new person joined, obviously I was angry, I was upset, I thought it was a bad thing for me. But today, when I look back, I really literally feel that the universe sent her to push me out of my comfort zone. It almost seems like a gift, which is kind of what's happening in the story also, right? Like sometimes, so what I'm also trying
right,
to say is that what we think something is, it many times isn't that,
right.
because through difficulties, each difficulty is actually a stepping stone for growth. If you guys look back in your own life, if you look at your own life, when do you think you grew a lot as a person? In very happy times or in very difficult times? When did growth happen?
Very difficult times now.
Very difficult times. Yeah. So challenges, we were talking about the purpose of life or why we are all here. See, it is through the challenges that we are going to learn. It's when something difficult happens, like I was giving the example of COVID. When COVID happened, we figured out new ways of living and doing work. And that then, even post COVID, is helping us in so many ways, right? So it is through difficulty that a lot of creativity and a lot of new things come out. Of course, it's no fun going through a difficult phase, but the idea is, again, can we go away from interpreting things as very black and white? Because if you really ask me, life is 1,000 shades of gray. The mind likes the idea of black and white because it's easier to process. This is good, this is bad. Now, if it's somewhere in between, it's hard, right? Isn't it? This person is good, this person is bad. It's easy. Now the mind it's easier for it to process. The fact that this person can be both good and bad is a fuzzy area. It's difficult to navigate that. Again, making sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea of looking at those, statements was like how, Piyush was just sharing that, if we reframe that statement, he felt that it was a little bit more positive. Yeah. So one of the ways that we can, counteract some of these beliefs which might be limiting us is to use a tool called affirmations. Are you guys familiar with the concept of affirmations? Heard about it? Know what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever used affirmations? I'm just trying to understand, so accordingly I will
I
share.
haven't used. No,
You have used. Okay, great. Yeah. So let
no,
me talk.
I haven't used. Yeah.
You haven't used. Okay, fine. So let me talk a little
Yeah.
bit about what affirmations are. So affirmations are positive and specific statements. So they help us in overcoming self-sabotaging and negative thoughts, because what happens is sometimes our own thoughts can be self-sabotaging. Like, I'll give you an example of a client I had. She moved from India to a different country, and then she was getting married. So she took a break from work and then she started looking for a job. And so she was getting coached, and she found we were working together. She got a great job. The job was like, absolutely her dream job. Okay. And in fact, she got that confirmation for the job while we were on a coaching call. And the first thing she tells me is, Divya, this is too good to be true. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, this is exactly what you wanted. This is your dream job. She said, no. She said, this is too good to be true. Either I will make a mistake or this is not going to happen. Yeah. So now this was just a belief, because in life, then she shared that, things had happened and many times she had to settle for second best in life. So now she had told herself that I will never get the best in life. So that is what I mean by self-sabotage. Because that thought was so strong, she was not even excited about getting the job. She was like, oh my God, this is too good to be true. Because she told me, she said, when I went to the interview, I was like pretty much sure that I am not going to get this job. Yeah. So that's kind of what I mean by self-sabotaging thoughts, right? So we are sabotaging our own selves just through our thought process. Yeah. Now, if we have to, improve our physical body, or, our strength or flexibility or stamina, we repetitively do exercises. Yeah. Some of us will be running, playing, yoga, gymming, whatever it is. Now, an affirmation is basically like a repetitive exercise for the mind. We are basically, see, our minds are very trainable. Earlier, people used to feel that after a certain age, you can't learn new things. But today, according to neuroscience, from the time we are born till the time we die, the mind has what we call neuroplasticity. Our brains have what we call neuroplasticity. What that means is we can constantly learn. Yeah. So, but how do we learn? We learn through repetition. We don't learn just, by doing something once. If we have done it a few times, that's when we really internalize it and we get good at it. Right? Now, for an affirmation to be really effective, it needs to be in the present tense, positive, personal, and specific. Yeah, there are some generic affirmations also that you can find, and if they resonate with you, use them. But say again, if I may take that example, because Piyush brought that up about, say, life is a struggle. If I have to convert that into an affirmation, now again, I will talk to Piyush because he will be able to tell me, Piyush, what sounds good to you? Does this statement sound good to you, that life is always on my side, even in challenging times? Does that statement sound, just close your eyes and say that out loud with me. Yeah. Life is always on my side, even through challenging times. As you say it, does it seem true, false? You can't relate to it. How do you feel about it?
No, I can relate to it, but not always it gives me that kind
Yeah.
of.
Awesome. So on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, how true is this statement sounding? 5, 6, 2,
I think 7 maybe, but yeah, not
7.
entirely
Absolutely.
10.
Yes. So great. So 7 is great, which means that it is sort of true, but not entirely true. Yeah. So see, again, it's like physical exercise, an affirmation is also like physical exercise. Say if I have to build muscle in my arm and I want to do weights. Yeah. Now, if I start with a weight which is 200 grams, I will not get any exercise. But if I start with a 2 kg weight, I'll probably end up hurting my arm. Right? So we have to find that right. Maybe if I start with a kg or something, or I don't know, 500 grams, that would probably be, it'll give me some exercise, but it will be doable for me. So in affirmation also, we need to find the words where there is a little bit of a stretch. If it's already 10, then you already believe it. If it is 1 or 2, then it is too far a stretch for you. Is this making sense, guys? Because today a lot of these affirmations and
Yes.
things people are talking about, but you don't understand the sort of techniques of how it works. So to word it in a way where it seems like, so if you get the number about 6 to 8, that's a good affirmation for you. And as you do it, once the number reaches a 9 or 10, you kind of don't need to do it anymore because you've kind of internalized it. Yeah, is this clear? Because I just want to make sure this we can understand.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, so the way to do this is to, when you go through those statements that I've shared, you can pick the ones that you feel, or some other statements are coming to your mind. Like I gave that example, right? Don't be too happy. Something will go wrong. Yeah. So, and then you can convert them into uh, positive statements, which are positive in the present. Yeah. So I'm not saying life will always be on my side. I'm saying life is always on my side. So we are saying it in the present. We are saying it positively. We are not saying, okay, life is not against me. Right? We are saying life is on my side. Yeah. So we try to use positive words. We try to keep it in the present tense, make it very personal and very specific to our own situation. There are general, affirmations which can pretty much work for everybody. Things like, I love myself. Things like, I trust the universe, or those can be more generic, but we can also work on very specific affirmations which can rewire our own brain. Yeah, are we good with this? Any comments, thoughts, questions before we move on to the next thing?
We are good with it.
Okay, so just one thing I wanted to add is what I would invite each of you to do is to maybe pick 3, 4 affirmations, and I can help you structure them. If you are finding it difficult, message me and we can work on it, or, we can work on it when we meet one-on-one as well. So once you have a set of affirmations, there are many ways you can do the affirmation. You can repeat it to yourself. Saying it out loud is more powerful if you are by yourself alone at home or something. If not, you can say it internally as well. You can write it down. Some people find it writing it down can be very powerful. You can record it in your voice and listen to it when you go for a walk, when you're taking a shower, just, to use. Now, the more you expose yourself to it, as in, the more repetition you get, the better it is, because, the sooner you're going to internalize the process. Now, I'll paint a little picture for you, which will help you understand how, again, it's working neurologically. Yeah, you all know we have neural pathways in our brains, right? The neural pathways are created based on, again, our learning, synaptic connections. are formed, again, when we learn, when we interact with things. Now, if you look at it, say there is a park or a garden where you walk, yeah, and there is a path, a cemented path or a tiled path, how they have those walking paths around gardens so normally we all walk on that. Yeah, it's a path we know, even if with our eyes closed, we can walk there. Now, one day we decide that, okay, I'm tired of walking on this, and maybe if I walk through the grass, it will be faster or better for me. Now, when you first walk through the grass, there is no path there. Yeah, so you have to kind of create a path. But if you keep doing that every day for a period of time, the grass starts to separate and a path starts to emerge. Has anybody ever seen something like this happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So this is kind of what we are doing, that right now our belief is that gravel path that we know, we are walking on it every day. Now we are trying to create a new path. The more we walk on it, the more pronounced that path becomes. Yeah. Does this imagery helps for you to understand how the affirmations can reprogram us?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was stress. Okay, today everybody's stressed. A 5-year-old is stressed. you know. So let's just spend a couple of minutes. What is stress? What do we mean when we say we are feeling stressed? And don't worry, see, guys, there are no wrong answers here. Each of us may have a different understanding of what stress is. I'm curious, what is it for you?
Sorry, I got disconnected. I have connected again. I
Okay.
missed the last 30-second part.
Okay, no, I was just asking that today, everybody is stressed. I'm just asking for you guys to share what is stress for you? What does it mean? Yes, Piyush, go ahead. I think you were saying something.
I think for me it is like stress creates hurdles. Like I feel,
Stress creates hurdles.
yeah, one aspect to look at it. Like
One
I
aspect.
always feel that whenever stress, yeah, when I whenever I feel stress, it automatically puts me thinking that, oh, there's a hurdle coming up, or whatever, there's an obstacle coming in your way. One aspect to look at it. Another, it creates a button of emergency in your body, like you need to do something. So it creates a little, like, it shifts you from normal situation to something when it comes.
Hmm.
So I feel that situation, it is situation based as well. Like suppose if I'm in a lot of stress, it makes me do something which in a normal set I wouldn't be doing, something like that.
Hmm. Hmm. So it impacts your behavior, is what you're saying. It seems like there is a hurdle, an obstacle. Yeah,
Yeah, correct.
great. Thank you for sharing. Amar, anything from you on what is stress?
Yes, ma'am. So stress is, I think, the feeling that we get whenever, as I have already discussed once, I think whatever I'm expecting to happen, if that doesn't happen, then we start getting little stress. So I think to a small degree, it is beneficial for our improvement, and it helps us in thinking why the thing did not happen as expected and what needs to be changed. So in that way, it helps to a smaller degree. And I think the stress increases when we uh, initially don't act based on the outcome. Like the outcome is not as expected, but still we are really not concerned with it, and still we are going ahead with our routine, and then the expected outcomes are changing drastically from what we want it to be. And then I think when this increases a lot, and then we suddenly are searching for a solution. And I think that time the stress gets higher and it starts impacting our behavior. To a smaller degree, it usually doesn't affect our behavior. it actually helps us if we can uh, act on time.
Yeah, great. Great. Thank you, both of you, for sharing. Sorry, I have a little bit of a cold and a throat thing, so my voice is not so good today. Yeah. So thank you guys for sharing. So yes, like Amar is saying, a little bit of stress can actually help us improve our performance. Right? Because when we are, say, a little bit stressed about an exam or a little bit stressed about, a work deadline or something, even then the behavior changes, as in it makes us work harder. Okay, oh, there's only one day left and I have, to study for the exam. Let me really apply myself, right? There is this big, for you guys, like, there is this big stuff, transactions that need to happen. Let me like really focus myself. So a little bit of stress can help us. But when the stress becomes too much, like how, Piyush was saying or Hamar is saying, then it seems like, we feel blocked. There is a hurdle, right? And then it leads to, all kinds of things, the behavior, like the negative thought patterns. It could be negative behaviors. It could be either we are shutting down, we are getting overwhelmed. We also feel like there is some kind of pressure on us, you know? Yeah. Do you guys feel that with stress, there is a sense of pressure of some sort? That pressure could be external or internal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so now there are many, many definitions of stress, and I'm not going to go into clinical definitions of stress here, but I'm just going to talk a little bit about, to me, stress is a response we experience when we encounter a threat that we feel we do not have the resources to deal with. Yeah, so let me give you an example. So say I do a lot of work in the emotional intelligence space. Now, if somebody tells me that we are create a, you know, great presentation on emotional intelligence in half an hour. Now, even if I am an expert, half an hour is not going to be enough time, to create a great presentation. Now, that can make me feel stressed because the resource I need is time and I don't have it. Yeah, similarly, sometimes physical resources, right? I may need physical strength to do something and I don't have it. I may need money, time, something like that. So when I don't have that, I can feel stress. Similarly, a lot of it is got to do with internal resources also. If I'm not feeling, so somebody tells me stand in front of 1,000 people and talk about emotion, and if I don't have the confidence, to be on stage, then I can feel stressed. Yeah, so this is one way to look at it, is when we don't have the resources to deal, or we feel we don't have the resources to deal with the situation, is when we get stressed. Yeah, like you guys were talking about, now the market is going up and down. I mean, do I have it in my power to control that? Like, I don't have the resources to deal with this uncertainty, then it triggers stress within us. Yeah. Now, the other thing to remember about stress is that stress is highly subjective. 10 people, if they're in the same situation, their levels of stress will be very, very different. Yeah. It's not like everybody would feel the same level or the same kind of stress or even feel the stress in the same way in the same situation. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is, how do you guys know yourself that you are stressed? Do you know that you are stressed, or do sometimes people tell you, oh, you look stressed, or friends and family, spouses, they will tell you, oh, you are very snappy, maybe you are stressed. Okay. How do you know? You guys are thinking?
Yes, ma'am. Like
Yeah.
as you said, like sometimes family members, sometimes colleagues tell us like you look tired or something. That is one of the way. The other way is also you start internally feeling like you start feeling you are not feeling normal, and
Hmm.
maybe the energy levels are low.
Hmm.
So that way we realize
Hmm.
I'm stressed out more in this situation, or then you start looking for reducing that burden. That's what.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. Piyush, anything from you?
Yeah, I think the same thing when um, when you start feeling that you are not in your usual, you do not have your usual energy level, then like you feel a little more like uh, laid back, or a little bit of your your energy levels is not that good. Whenever you get up, you don't feel like doing something. So those kind of things, I think, it puts in that mode where you don't want to do anything. I
Right.
think, yeah, those kind
Right.
of.
So those could be indicators. Yeah. See, I ask this question is because I have seen that a lot of times people don't understand their own stress till the stress has gone to a very high level. See, if I can detect my stress early on and start taking action, it will probably not get to a very high level of stress. Yeah, so I'm just putting up here as to how the stress shows up. Now, the stress can show up in the body, like you guys said, right? Like either we feel tired, we are not very interested in things, right? Energy levels is low, is what you guys is what you guys are saying. If you would start paying attention, one thing that happens is when we are stressed is the breathing will become constricted. Constricted meaning the breathing will not be deep and slow. Sometimes the heart rate may also change. If we are under a lot of stress, we tend to fall sick more. Yeah, how many of you have seen after sometimes a very stressful situation, you will get a tummy upset or a headache or a fever, or other people around you, you might have seen it happen to other people also. Yeah. Muscle tightness is something again we feel, you know, headaches, shoulder pain, back pain, right? Uh, Even indigestion. And I'll talk more about this. Yeah. How even our digestion is related to our stress levels. This is how it shows up in the body. How it shows up in the mind is we constantly worry. We are in these loops of overthinking. Even when we say are stressed at work, we come home, we can't stop thinking about it. Either we can't make decisions. So either we get indecisive or we make impulsive decisions. Yeah. Our thinking becomes a little bit foggy. We feel we are not able to clearly think. There's a lot of negativity. Yeah. Our judgment gets impaired. Normally, we will be able to discern things. We're not able to discern them. In terms of emotions, we are either indifferent to things, we feel depressed, or sometimes we get aggressive. Like I said, one thing that happens to a lot of people in stress is they will become snappy with other people. Normally, somebody is very patient, but when they're stressed, they'll be quite snappy. I'm just giving an example. It doesn't always happen, right? Like irritable, they'll be irritated with small things. Yeah. And in terms of behavior, we can get restless, we can get, some of us start overeating, some of us lose our appetite. Yeah. Some of us have outbursts. Yeah. We lash out at other people, yelling, screaming, saying things. Now we also get accident prone. What I mean by this is, again, if anybody has noticed for yourself or other people, you may feel you're less coordinated physically when you are under stress. You'll forget where I put my keys. You will go from one room to the next. You will not remember what you went there for. Yeah. You may drop things more easily, right? That's what I mean by that. Insomnia, some people can't sleep in stress. Some people sleep too much when they're stressed, right? So this is kind of how it is showing up. And there is no, again, right, wrong way. It is different for different people. It can be different in different situations. It can be different based on the level of stress also. Yeah. The idea of doing this is I am inviting you guys to start noticing what are some of those warning signs for you. I'll give a personal example. When I started doing this work initially, I started understanding that I tend to tighten my stomach muscles when I'm stressed. Even today, like sometimes if I'm very busy, and then if I notice my stomach muscles are tight, I start thinking, oh, what is stressing me out? Because I know that's how my body, see, our bodies store the stress in various muscles. Yeah, for a lot of us, shoulders and the lower back are very favorite places, for storing that energy, like you guys talked about, because a lot of energy is being spent in dealing with the stress, and that's why we feel low on energy. Yeah, so the invitation to you guys is to start noticing your own, all these four. How does it show up in your body? How does it show up in your mind? What kind of thoughts come? What kind of decisions do you make? What are your emotions and how do you behave? Yeah. Is this again making sense, guys? I want to take a pause here because this is important.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe as we are talking about this, some things may already be becoming obvious to you. Like again, I mean, I take personal examples because they are mine. Like I'm not somebody who likes sweet stuff much, but I also realize that I stress eat. And that time, when I mean, now it doesn't happen because I have awareness around it. Uh, there would be days I would start feeling like, oh, maybe, maybe I should have something sweet. And that used to be my indication because I'm not a dessert person at all. Then I would say, oh, something is not right. I'm I'm wanting to eat something sweet, meaning something is not right. So that would also give me before I built my awareness to, now I can through my breath and through my body, I'm very quickly able to identify. Yeah. Piyush, were you going to say something?
No, no, no. I could relate to it because even I feel the same thing. I stress eat a lot. Whenever I'm stressed, I like to munch something. So I could not control it. When I said I do not feel hungry, but I'm eating. So
Yeah, exactly. So basically, yes. So like you said, we are not eating because we are hungry. And we're going to talk more about this. Our relationship to food, guys, is driven by emotion. Our relationship to food is not a lot of us, even when we think our relationship to food is not very healthy. And since we are here, so let me just talk a little bit about this, and I will be talking more about this in the total well-being program that we will all do together. I was talking about, our needs and okay, how many of you can relate to this? Say, when you were a child, you were having a bad day. You come home, whether from the playground or from school or whatever, and you tell somebody, your parents, your siblings, I'm not feeling, whatever, or they see that you're not looking so good. They'll say, come, I'll buy you an ice cream. Your mother will say, come, I'll cook your favorite food. In a way, food was a way to compensate for a negative emotion. Does anybody relate to this?
yes,
Yeah. So, and we call it comfort food. What is comfort food? Because through food we can feel, because it's home cooked food or it is lovingly given to us or whatever it is. So a lot of us, because people couldn't understand or they didn't have the capacity to support us through our difficult emotions, or for us also as children, maybe if I eat something which is my favorite food, I'll feel better. We would reach out for things like food to, like I said, to meet a need. But the need was not food. Food was the replacement for that need. And because of this, a lot of us have a very messed up relationship with food. If food was just nutrition, which it is, we would all be eating very differently. Yeah, like I said, we'll talk more about this. But stress, because in stress, when we are not feeling fine, we reach out for things that can give us comfort. Yeah. And I was going to talk about indigestion. When the body goes into, when we are in high stress, the body goes into what we call the fight, flight, or freeze response. Now, in the fight, flight, or freeze response, you can read about it. Physiologically, the digestion actually starts to slow down. Now, with the slow digestion, if we are eating more than we should normally are eating, obviously we are going to get a tummy upset or indigestion. Yeah. So there is a whole sort of, it's a very sophisticated and complex system that gets triggered when we are in stress. And the way, the stress cycles are designed is it's supposed to be a short while where we are stressed, we go through the stress, we come out of it. There is also supposed to be a cycle of rest. But today, what we are doing is we are under prolonged cycles of stress. The stress is going on for days, weeks, months. Now, during stress, our bodies are working extra hard. Why we are all aging so much today? Like, youngsters, I mean, you can see today there is so much talk about, hair graying faster, people just aging, because it takes a toll on the body. Stress will take a physical toll on the body. Have you seen somebody go through a really bad phase in life and suddenly you will feel they've aged several years? Why? Because that stress will take a physical toll on the body. So the more we are able to understand and regulate and manage that stress, it's not only going to help us emotionally and mentally, it's actually physically going to help us, because it really, the wear and tear on the body is very high when we are under cycles of stress. and we are not compensating with cycles of rest and recovery. Because what the body needs is, after a stress cycle, it needs, rest and recovery. Like if you look at athletes, especially people who do, power sports or, endurance sports. So after running a marathon, they will take rest for a period of time. They will, really cut down on their training, or because that otherwise because the body needs time. And when the body, like the body repairs when we are resting. The body can't repair when we are in a state of stress. The repair functions kick in a period of rest. And those who are parents, like, would probably know or don't know, children grow when they're sleeping. Your doctors will tell you that. Growth happens when they're actually sleeping. Is this again making sense, or?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And today we are all sleep deprived, most of us. And that further adds on to, the negative sort of spiral that we are all stuck in. Because we have kind of not understood why sleep is so important. Because through the day we are working, and if we are in that active mode, it is through sleep that we are recharging ourselves, on many levels, including spiritual and energetic. And maybe we'll talk about it at a different point in time. Okay, one more aspect of stress I wanted to talk about is your stress really yours? What I mean by that is, see, we are all, as human beings, empathy is built into us, right? And since you guys talked about energy, and I have been talking about how all emotions are energy, and maybe, I don't remember if you are around people who are very happy, even if you're in a low mood, you start to feel better. Yeah, you meet a friend who's very upbeat, very optimistic, even if you're not having a very good day, you feel a little bit better spending an hour, 2 hours with them. The opposite also happens. You were in a great mood, you met with a friend, they complained for 1 hour. After that 1 hour, you are also feeling low and having a headache. Yeah, could be a friend, family member, colleague, whatever. Yeah, I'm exaggerating for effect, but you guys understand. Yeah. Amar, you were saying
Yes.
something?
No, yeah, no, I just was saying, yeah, we can, I can relate with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happens is that we have the ability to pick up other people's emotions. Yeah. If we are not aware and careful, right? So I just want to talk about these three levels. There is sympathy, there is empathy, and then there is compassion. Yeah. So empathy is built in. What is empathy? Anybody, your understanding of what is empathy? Because today a lot of these words are thrown around. I'm just always curious, do people understand?
I think empathy is to understand the other person's perspective of to understand from his point of view, and realizing that, I think, uh, try to understand the person well, I think.
Okay, so that's empathy for you. Piyush, what about you?
Empathy, basically, it gives uh, to someone is basically, I feel that it is more of a sympathies again. I feel that there's one thing that we call it, okay, there's something going wrong. We have some sympathy, or you see a person in a sorry situation. You feel a person is, and you feel, oh, I'm very, like, there's a sympathy coming in. Naturally, the human body comes in, but empathy is like, okay, uh, it is more of a positive side. I feel, rather than, you know gives you does not give you a negative thought. Like, gives you, like you always said, I empathize with you. Basically,
Yeah.
I am with you. It is a more positive way to say it to a
Positively.
person.
Okay, so I just wanted to kind of talk about this. So it's kind of three levels in which we feel with other people. See, we are constantly feeling with other people. And that's, like, as I'm saying, that's given to us. It's built in. Some of us are more aware of it. Some of us, of course, have greater levels of empathy than other people. But again, it's something that we can develop, and we'll talk about that later. I just kind of wanted to talk. So sympathy is when, say, somebody is sharing something bad that has happened with them, I kind of feel sorry for them. Or it reminds me of what bad things have happened to me also, right? So we are then kind of feeling bad for each other. Yeah. So it's kind of this, it's almost like a victims club in a way, right? So say, let's take an analogy here. A person has fallen into a big ditch. Yeah, they've fallen into a ditch. There's a big ditch and a person has fallen into it. Sympathy would look like I'm outside and I'm telling that person, oh my God, poor you. You've fallen inside. Yeah. Empathy is when we can feel what the other person is feeling. You're not feeling sorry for them. Where in this situation, empathy would look like, okay, I can see that you're in a really difficult situation. Yeah. And the third level is compassion. From empathy, we come to that level of compassion where we will like, okay, how can I help you get out of this? Right? So I just share this because a lot of times, because I have talked about how we are all programmed for fear, also, given our evolution, and the two big fears that we are all living with is the fear of losing what we have and the fear of not getting what we want. The fear of loss is a universal fear that all of us have. So when we see somebody in a bad thing, they have lost something, we feel bad. It's not like we are, I mean, in the sense we genuinely feel bad that this person is going through this, but it's more from a sense of, oh my God, poor you. We feel like that person is a victim of that situation. And then it reminds us of our own loss also. Or it triggers that fear of, oh, what if I lose this? This person lost it. What if? So it puts us in that place of fear. Empathy comes more from that place of love, where I can see the other person, I can see their experience, but I stay in that energy of love instead of going into the energy of fear, because then that becomes a stepping stone to compassion, where I'm then, willing to work with them to find a solution. Is this again helping at all, guys? Is this making sense?
Yes, ma'am.
See, today, if you look at it, yeah, news, so much of negative news is there. I'm not saying bad things aren't happening in the world, but that negative news, everybody wants to, that news sells, right? So they overly sensationalize it because it triggers fear in us. Oh my God, what if I ate what they're saying is killing me? What if oh my God, this happened, the world is not a safe place. Let me not go out. Let me not let my children go out. I mean, of course, a lot of bad things are happening in this world, but a lot of good things are also happening in this world, you know? So a lot of the stress is also the stress that we are picking up from the environment. So just having the awareness that the environment and other people around us. So if you are working in an environment where everybody is stressed, trust me, your stress levels will go up. Yeah. Now, so how do we work on sort of separating our stress from other people? So one thing, and I'm going to do some energy exercises, not today. Next week is our last class, which I will make into a slightly longer, I call it a retreat, where we will do a lot of experiential work, and I will teach you guys some energy tools to, create this energy separation between our energy and other people's energy. But right now, just having this awareness that, okay, if other people are stressed, you can just tell yourself that I don't have to pick up their stress. Just that itself, that mental shift will actually help you a lot. Again, is this making any sense, guys?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. So stay in that place of empathy for the other person, that you can see they are stressed. You don't have to pick up their stress. Now, if I come back to my example of a person falling in the ditch, now what would be the best way for me to help them? For me to feel, to stay resourceful, or for me also to start getting into fear? What if I fall? What if other people fall? What will be, you know, good for the whole situation?
To stay resourceful.
To stay resourceful, right? Now, when we are in that kind of sympathy kind of a mode, we are not going to stay resourceful. Yeah. And then the, 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 the less resourceful we feel, the more stressed we can feel. Sometimes just to see that person in the ditch and feeling like, oh my God, now this person has fallen and now I can't help them. That itself can trigger a lot of stress, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So just this awareness that we have choice to not pick up other people's stress. See, again, you guys would think like Divya is like one broken record, See, as children, we absorbed the stress in the environment. We had no choice. Yeah, that's just how it is. And I mean, if you guys attend the advanced classes, I go into details of how and why that happens, but not right now. So for right now, if you're okay, just just if you're open to understanding that that's what happens, children will absorb the stress in the environment. Because when they are that, especially very young children, I mean, children of all ages, but even very young children, why? Because a child has not yet developed the understanding of them as an individual being who has choice and power to, pick and choose. So what that is, why I'm bringing this up is because when a lot of us grew up in environments where there was a lot of stress, and stress could be families were going through financial challenges, parents were not getting along, there were other things happening like wars and, social issues, maybe illness, all kinds of things, right? We had to support other family members, we had to take care of older people, sometimes, as I'm saying, businesses were failing or people were losing jobs or there was death and, disease in the family. So others around us were stressed. And sadly, a lot of people didn't know healthy ways of managing that stress, right? So that stress was in the environment or that stress was being thrown onto other people, yeah, through behavior, right? So now obviously we absorb that stress because, as I said, we didn't have choice. But what also we have done is we have programmed ourselves to pick up that stress from the environment. So what I'm talking about today is the invitation is to remind ourselves that today, as you know, autonomous adults, we have the power and the choice to pick and choose how much of what we want to take. Is this, again, as I'm saying, at all making? I'm just asking because I'm introducing a lot of new concepts. So I just want to make sure you guys are with me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. So just again, as I'm saying, start noticing your own, become more aware of your own body, mind, emotions, and behavior through any stressful situation. Be aware of how you allow the environment to impact you, how much you are allowing the environment to impact you. Yeah, so say I walk into a place and everybody is stressed. Do I also get stressed? Or do I stay in my place of calmness and I actually maybe support others in getting out of that stress? Yeah, I'm not saying take the pressure of doing that. I'm saying just become aware of what you're doing right now. Okay? Yeah. Am I going too fast? Is this okay for everyone?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Okay. So another thing that I wanted to talk about, and maybe I've already spoken about this to some of you, and I'll just touch upon this because the fear of loss is so big for all of us, and it is so real also. Yeah, as human beings, always, right? Like uh, we are losing people, we are losing jobs, relationships, sometimes our health, tangibles, intangibles, money, right? Loss is a part of life. Yeah, would everybody agree that loss is a part of life?
Yes.
At the same time, we obviously don't like to lose things or people. It makes us, it impacts us, right? Yeah.
Right.
So, so if I may invite you guys, what are some of your fears about losing? What are you afraid of losing? If you're comfortable sharing.
Uh, I mean, like, I would like my family to be secure and, yeah, like, I wouldn't want to lose any of them family members. Yeah, that is my biggest fear.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, Piyush.
Yeah, same like people around me whom I love so much, care so much. Yeah. So I think the biggest fear is not losing.
Yeah. So, yeah, so our biggest fears, like, you guys are sharing, are about people that we really love or people that are very important to us in life. We are afraid of losing them, as in, they going away, dying or whatever. We are also afraid of, you know, them falling sick, something hurting them, right? And then, of course, there are fears about, maybe they're not having enough finances, they're not having, the careers, or say, if, I want everybody in my family to be happy and healthy and safe and, be financially secure and all of that. And we are afraid that if they already have it, and if I already have everything I want, I'm afraid, what if tomorrow something happens and it all goes away? Yeah, so today I'm very successful. What if tomorrow, something happens, my name goes, my credibility goes, people look at me badly. I mean, so a lot of those fears of losing, as I said, tangibles, physical assets and people, and also the intangibles. That, okay, a person I love may still be around, but what if the relationship is no longer there? What if they don't care for me, or, love me the way they're loving me today? Right? So it's that fear, like we have been talking about, that is driving us. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the process of grief. So when we lose something, the way we human beings, the way we respond is by grieving for that loss. Yeah. So when a person dies, all cultures all over the world, if you look at it, there are fairly elaborate, rituals of grief. And why were they created? Because we need time to grieve. And we also need, as human beings, we need other people to grieve with. Yeah, and that's why people gather. When somebody dies, people gather. In all cultures, there are, whether it's a prayer meet, whether it's, there are rituals where people would gather, family, friends, people who knew the person who's no longer there. Everybody gathers to share stories, to cry, to hold each other, to express and, sort of let that grief out. Now, I'm talking about this why? Because that kind of grief, people understand when somebody dies, when a war happens, many people have died, a lot of death and destruction have happened. We can openly grieve. Yeah. But there is a lot of grief which we do not have space to express. Yeah. When my relationship is no longer working, I don't know who to grieve with for that loss. It's a huge loss, but I really don't have the space, a safe space to grieve in. Is this again making sense, guys? Yeah. I know.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I know this can be a slightly heavy topic, but it is something very important, and you will see how it is happening to all of us, even in everyday life, right? So, I just want to talk about this framework, which we call in psychology the 5 stages of grief. A lot has been written and talked about this. So, if you feel like, reading more on this, there's a lot of scientific research as well. So, the first stage of grief is denial. Yeah, so I'm going to take an everyday situation. So see, like as I'm saying, when big things happen, I lost my job, I lost my house, I lost a lot of money because of some bad investment, I lost people. Those are the obvious big things where grief can happen. Now let's take an everyday situation. So say I have been invited to some very prestigious event and I'm very excited about it. I have really dressed up very well. And as I'm stepping out of my house, it starts pouring. Okay, and this is an open air event. Now, the first thought in my head is denial, is like, oh my God, this cannot be happening. Yeah. Okay. So the first stage is denial. The second, now the rain is not, I mean, doesn't bother about me or my event, right? So the next thing is I'm getting angry. Oh my God, why is this happening to me? This bad things are always happening to me. I mean, it is so unfair. What did I do to deserve this? Okay. So the second stage of grief is anger. The third stage is bargaining. Now I just want this rain to stop. So I'm telling the gods, the rain god, please stop for the next 2 hours. I'm going to pray, do this charity, whatever, whatever, whatever. So now I'm trying to bargain with whosoever I think I can bargain, to make this go away. Yeah. Or to make what I want happen. Right. So I'm willing. That's the third stage. The fourth stage is depression. Now, doing all of this, the rain, of course, as I'm saying, doesn't care. So it is still raining. So the fourth stage is when I get depression. I'm not talking about clinical depression here. When that sadness takes over, maybe I even feel like crying. Oh my God, this is just not okay. And I'm so powerless and helpless in this situation. The rain has absolutely ruined this for me. And I just feel like, you know, going into the deep state of sadness. And then comes the final stage, which we call acceptance, where now I tell myself, okay, you know what, Divyajan, it is raining. What is the best you can do? Should I dress this differently? Should I call up the organizers, figure out what is happening? You know, what are some of my options in front of me? Yeah. Okay. So now, few things here. First of all, the 5 stages don't necessarily happen in order. Sometimes all of them may not happen, right? They can happen in any order. We can also keep going from one to the other, right? So after I felt sad, I can again be angry. Then I can again start bargaining. Then I can go into denial. Then I can come back to acceptance and then keep going round and round and round. And trust me, many times people are stuck in cycles of grief for not days and months, but for years and decades because they just don't even know that they're stuck in a cycle of grief. Somebody I was talking to who said she lost her father, I think 25 years ago, and she said, I feel I still haven't gotten over the grief. Yeah. So what, again, a few things that I want to sort of point out here. First of all, based on the severity of loss, the grief is sort of proportionate to our perception of how big that loss is. Yeah. So a short grief cycle is triggered for small things every day that happen in life also. Yeah, I gave this example, right? And then there are bigger cycles of grief that would happen for bigger things that are happening. Yeah. Now, the thing is, we don't associate a grief cycle with everyday things. But the example I gave to you, it is showing because for me, it was a loss. Right now, I cannot explain this to maybe other people around me. And if I am crying a lot or being very angry, others around me may be finding it unreasonable because their understanding that I'm going through a grief period, they may not have that understanding. And I also don't have that safe space where I can actually grieve. Yeah. Whereas, as I'm saying, when somebody dies, society gives us that space. No, it's okay if people are crying. Nobody says, oh, why are you crying? It's okay. But when other things happen, it's hard. Where do we let out all that anger, all that, sadness? Where do we let that out? Yeah. So the invitation is again to become aware of what's happening. First of all, can people relate to this, happening in life, to yourself, to other people?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. So now what we are trying to do is to, first of all, we cannot force ourselves to come to acceptance. And I'm going to talk more about what acceptance is and what it isn't. Just wanted to put this picture. Yeah. So it's not like it happens so cleanly. It kind of is one big jumble. And that acceptance can also happen in stages. We accept it a little bit. Then we again go back to, no, 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 it is not fair. Let me get a little more angry. Then we come, and maybe over a period of time, we come to acceptance. And sometimes we cannot completely accept it all. Yeah. And that's okay. There is no judgment. There is no that, okay, we have to come to 100% acceptance for everything. That's not what I'm prescribing. So, but what happens is sometimes we start judging ourselves also. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? Yeah. Or we judge ourselves to say, okay, I have to now get out of this. Like we feel it's been so long. How can I not get over it? Yeah. So just wanted to talk about this in relation to, we had been talking about judgment and how to come to acceptance. So going from judgment to observation helps us move towards acceptance. How about we, observe the situation, what's really happening, right? So it's raining. I hate rain. It is annoying. I wish it wasn't raining. I wish it was sunny. Now this is going to ruin my mood. All of this is when we are in the place of judgment. Acceptance is it's raining. That's it. Yeah. Now, again, while it will seem very simple, it's not easy to do. Things that are simple are not necessarily easy. Yeah. The concept is very simple, but it's not easy to practice. Right? So, I just also want to talk about, because today this acceptance, this word is also thrown around a lot. Yeah. So, what do you think is acceptance in this context? What do you think is acceptance?
I just said the fact that it is raining, and so it's raining, so what we have to do based on that fact, rather than expecting that it will stop raining and again it will
Right.
be okay.
Right. So that is acceptance for you. Yeah. Thank you. And Piyush, anything from you on that?
No, I feel the same thing. Like acceptance is like it is raining instead of thinking that it might stop. And
So I'm just going to put in a few things here to help us with this. So first, acceptance is to stop hoping, wishing, praying that people and situations were different. Yeah. So like it's raining. Oh my God, it is so bad. Or oh my God, I hope, it stops raining in the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, half an hour, whatever it is. And similarly for people also, when we are accepting people, we stop hoping, wishing, praying that they will be different. So say my father is always angry and I'm hoping, wishing and praying that, okay, he stops being angry. As children, we did a lot of that, right? Because again, as I'm saying, we didn't have power. Yeah, again, I'm taking random examples, guys, just to illustrate things. Each of us may have gone through different experiences. Sometimes a teacher, sometimes, today a spouse, a friend, whosoever, right? Or why maybe somebody is very sad, somebody tends to be very temperamental, So the first thing about acceptance is that we stop hoping, wishing, praying that they will be different. Second thing is, it's not like when we resign to something, that is not acceptance. Ki chalo bhai, now main to kuch kar nahi sakti, so let me accept the situation. That is not acceptance. It's an active choice. It is not resigning to something because I have no power or control. Now, over rain, I have no power or control, right? But when I resign to it, I'm giving my power away. But when I say, okay, it is raining, let me look at what my options are. I'm operating from a place of healthy power. I'm not operating from a place of, oh my God, I'm a victim because there is rain and, it's not good for me. Yeah. Okay, just out of curiosity, who's a victim according to you guys? The word victim, what does it mean? Yeah, go ahead, Piyush.
and a victim basically is the person who is suffering, like who is the one who's going through things. If we, so yeah.
Okay. So a person who's suffering, who's going through something bad is a victim. Okay.
Yeah.
Amar, anything from you on this? I know victim, yeah, can seem like a strong word, but yeah.
No, generally, like, yeah, we try to put ourselves, whenever we are in stress, we try to put ourselves as the victim. Like, we say, like, why I have to go through this, or so we are trying to, like, say, we are trying, we are trying to tell that the situation is treating me unfairly,
Yeah.
and we try
Yeah.
to blame us, put ourselves as a victim.
Exactly. So it could be a situation, it could be another person who's doing something bad to us, or, so if you really look at it, to me, a victim is somebody who has no choice. The situation or other people have power, they have no power. A victim is in a state of powerlessness and choicelessness. But the reality of life is we always have choice. We may not like the choices that are available to us. I cannot tell you how many times people will tell me, Divya, what choice did I have? And if I ask them, the other choices are there, they are not acceptable. But there's a difference between having no choice and having other choices that are not acceptable. Because the moment I open up to the idea that other choices are available to me, I don't want to take them, I'm no longer a victim. Is this making sense, guys?
Sure.
Yeah. And you don't have to, like I said, don't agree to me just because I'm saying it. If you feel this is not okay, tell me. Yeah. So acceptance of a situation is active choice when we stop fighting reality, right? We are now not fighting reality because the reality is it is raining, or the reality is this person will always be angry or sad or whatever it is. That is the reality. I'm not fighting it anymore because fighting reality takes a lot of energy, by the way. And that's when we start feeling low energy and very drained because we are fighting what is real. If the market is misbehaving, that is reality. I can't fight it. All I can do is act in a way. What are my choices? I have to constantly come back to what are my choices. Now, some of those choices may not be acceptable to us. So we tell ourselves, okay, I don't have any choice. But when we come to that place of choicelessness, that's when we feel powerless and victimized, right? So acceptance is an active choice. Now, acceptance also doesn't mean no action. Okay, now I'm accepting market is bad, so I should just sit, haath pe haath rakh ke baitho. No. In fact, acceptance is moving from problem to solution to take the right action. So acceptance helps us move towards action. It is not a state of inaction, right? So it is not non-action. So acknowledging what is happening. So say when I'm stressed, if I can acknowledge that, yes, I'm stressed, rather than going into denial saying, no, 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 let me, you know, eat too more or sleep or watch TV or, play video games or distract myself by playing or, going for a run and all of that. Some of that can be helpful, but acknowledging a situation is the first step. And then we kind of, if there is some amount of grief, it's okay. Give yourself time and space to grieve. If you're feeling angry about the situation, it's okay. If you're feeling sad about the situation, that's okay too. Find healthy ways, and we're going to talk about it next week. Healthy ways of how to let out that anger and sadness. And then we come to that place of resourcefulness where we are able to move from the problem towards the solution. Any questions on this, guys?
No.
Okay. Is this
No, ma'am.
is this helpful at all?
Yes, ma'am.
So the first step is building our awareness, reading our own signals, reading the signals in the environment, then trying to move towards taking some steps towards acceptance, which then also would help us take the appropriate action and, which would help us keep moving forward. Yeah. So that's kind of what I wanted to share for today. So let me just stop sharing. I know we've gone over time a little bit. I'm happy to stay, take any questions, any sharing, if everybody's okay with it. Yeah, otherwise, I would invite you to share with me again 1 or 2 things, 3 things that you're really taking away from the conversation today. What is standing out for you or making sense to you?
I think the two things that stand out for me from today's session is usually like my response is when there is a too much stress. I always had believed that when it is too much not in my control, I used to believe that I should just let it to resolve by itself. I always felt like nature has its own way of resolving things, and if I just leave it, I think it will get resolved. Maybe it will take some time, but it will get resolved. Maybe that is a way, but I think what you have said, I think that gives me like more belief, saying that I can be in control even in a very stressful situation, by accepting it that okay, the new situation is this, and based upon this situation, how should I plan my steps of actions or a series of actions I should I can start planning according to the new situation, and that will give me more control and more control over the outcome of the things that are happening around me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Read anything else, Samir?
For me, the takeaway which I have taken is to again the same he told to be more accepting the situation where I always have uh, emotions coming in between that no, this is this can't be happening, or instead of getting into a denial state, be more accepting and thinking about what to do in those situations will help me better if we accept more what is happening. And in our stress, like one thing which has helped me in stress, our body reacts in a very different way from what it becomes in normal. So I always like I am trying to keep my mind calm in this. Like it is not happening every time, but at least if I get those things in check, or that I can I can keep try to keep myself calm, then it becomes much better in decision making.
Yeah.
So I am still trying these things because mostly I'm struggling with more when it is a stressful environment, and again when uh, and I do not I am in a denial mode in always for a couple of times where I feel that no, this cannot be happening, instead of accepting it and thinking what to do next. So
Yeah.
I've got those takeaways.
Great. Thank you, guys. And again, like, just having that awareness will help you. And then in those moments, reminding yourself that, assessing how bad the situation is and reminding ourselves that no matter how bad the situation is, life is actually on our side. So the affirmations can help you, you know, like on a difficult day. I mean, first of all, doing the affirmations every day. So do work on that. Continue to do the deep breathing. And just this reflection of why do we start feeling so powerless and choiceless at times, and to just remind ourselves that, there is a way out of this situation. Just that itself can be empowering. Because when we are not feeling empowered and we feel victimized, we either go into, as I'm saying, that, complete withdrawal, or then we get aggressive. Right? It's that fight or flight. Either we run away, we want to run away by, watching TV or sleeping or eating food or whatever, or we want to fight. We pick up arguments with people, we get difficult, we start to fight whatever is happening in reality, and then a lot of energy is spent. A lot of energy is spent and we feel very drained and depleted. Yeah, so a lot more we would be continuing to discuss. So there is this 28-day program, which we call the Total Wellbeing Program. All of you already have access. It's a recorded program, but I can see that people find it difficult. So what I'm planning to do is there's a WhatsApp group. I'll probably send a daily reminder. There's a lesson every day. It's short, takes 10 minutes or so. But where I go a lot into the detail of understanding ourselves, physically, our relationship to our bodies, our relationship to our minds, our relationship to our emotions, and our relationships to the spirit. And how to understand it, how to integrate it. There are practices, some fun things. So we will probably start that in the next couple of days, and you will all obviously be a part of it. Okay, so thank you guys for being here, and continue to do your work. We will continue our conversations. Do put any sharing, any questions you have in the group regarding the classes. And of course, we will be in touch otherwise as well.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, great. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday and see you guys soon. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, see
See
you. Bye.
you.